Welcome back. 8:13, and there have all morning been clashes between protesters and federal employees right outside a facility in Broadview.
That's right, and this is the third week, so Joni is back there on the ground live for us. Joni, at times peaceful, at times very tense. What's happening right now?
Well, we have a lull in the action right now, and we also have 25th Ward Alderman Byron Sigcho-Lopez, who has been out here every week. Why are you out here every week? I know the first week a lot of people just wanted to see what was happening. Now you've learned some of the things that are happening out here.
Yeah, and we're really concerned about the conditions. We have heard from family members the inhumane conditions. This facility only had to be supposed to be a processing site, not a site for people to be detained. Yet we see many of our neighbors who have come here detained. They're telling us that horrendous conditions. And this morning, you know, we're seeing, of course, now more repression. And when we see someone being detained, arrested, a protester, we got to be here not only to protect our neighbors, we also got to protect our constitutional rights, the right of free speech.
I hear some sounds, and I want to make sure that I'm looking behind you, but it seems like a peaceful protest. You heard about this morning when the officers came out, fired some pellets, and dragged a protester into the facility.
It sends a chilling effect when protesters are just being grabbed, just as our neighbors are being snatched out of our communities. When freedom of speech is under attack, constitutional rights are under attack, we have a responsibility and a duty to protect those fundamental constitutional and human rights. So that's what we hear. We have spoken with, we also deliver a letter to State's Attorney Eileen Burke, State's Attorney General Kwame Raoul, and the governor. These facilities are unsafe. The conditions are inhumane, is creating more unrest in our state and our city, and we believe they need to be shut down. These facilities are not safe, are inhumane, and when we are now snatching neighbors for protesting, they're really undermining freedom of speech, our constitution, and our democracy.
The public is urged to observe, as you're doing today, and record. Yesterday, on the northwest side, in the Belmont Craig and Hermosa neighborhoods, some groups there tried to, and they felt like they were getting some aggression while they were doing it.
Absolutely. We've seen people being harassed, being threatened by ICE agents, even though it's completely legal. The governor has asked us even to document everything was happening. But when they don't respect our constitutional rights, yesterday in these plains, we also saw a U.S. citizen that was tased and hospitalized. So when these things are happening in our own country, in our state, I think it's a responsibility. We continue to ask Governor Pritzker, Mayor Johnson. I know yesterday the mayor signed an executive order not to criminalize or right to protest, but it's not enough. I think what we see in our streets is terror, is a call for action, and we ask on our state elected officials and here in Broadview, this facility must shut down. It is unsafe, it is not making anyone safer, it is escalating tensions, and is really undermining our freedom of speech. Our constitutional rights are under attack.
The general public has been urged to know their rights. There are palm cards being handed out, people in the neighborhoods hanging signs on doors, so people have this information, yet it doesn't ring true. Your rights may not be respected.
Unfortunately, that's right. We got to now defend our rights. It's not enough only knowing our rights. We need to defend and protect our rights. And for that, we need our elected officials, labor leaders, faith leaders. I think a few weeks ago or weeks ago, when we started coming, we used to come with faith leaders. We continue to come every week, every Friday. There's prayers. There's also labor leaders who mobilize. People are mobilizing to protest that. But it's not enough when the federal government doesn't respect constitutional rights. So we're definitely in a point where we need our state of Illinois to help make sure that these agents not only identify themselves, they show judicial warrants, and they don't wear masks. That's what's been done in other states, in other cities. That's what we need to do here. And also, I think it's a call for us to shut down these facilities. It is inhumane, is unconstitutional, is illegal what's happening.
From what I understand, this is a Homeland Security facility, a federal facility. How can you have it shut down?
I think they still need permits to operate. They still need to be allowed to operate in the state of it. And we're seeing in other cities that some of these facilities are being shut down by either having cities like Broadview rejecting any contracts, any permits to operate here. They still need access to the public way, and they're still deploying, unfortunately, Broadview police here. So when we see in Chicago, no collaboration with police is not the same in other parts of the state. And that's what we need Governor Pritzker to step up and protect our constitutional rights. That is our ask. We need a special session. Also, not only this is happening saying we're also seeing cuts in public education. We're seeing cuts in services, vital services, violence prevention programs, substance abuse programs. So we need to talk about what we want to do to protect these programs that are fundamental. I think it's clear that the federal government wants chaos in our cities and state, and we cannot just sit and watch. We need to come out with a plan to protect our rights, but also to make sure that we protect these programs that imagine when we have all these issues, when they talk about fentanyl, we talk about all the issues with drug abuse, and they cut $200 million for substance abuse programs. It is just a recipe for disaster, and that's exactly what they want. We cannot allow that, and I think it is time for us across the state to shut down these facilities. It's time for us to protect our rights, to protect protesters and families, as we did with Texas legislators. That's what we need to do for every constituent in Chicago and Illinois.
There are some who are encouraging these protesters not to engage, to protest peacefully. There are some who do want to engage. How do you feel about that?
What we need to make sure is that we do not escalate. We do not want violence. That is what we're seeing is an escalation. We saw it in LA, we saw it in DC. What we're asking these people is to mobilize in big numbers. What we see the best responses when big numbers are here, as we don't hear when there's big numbers, when peaceful protesters show up in big numbers. That's what we see ICE agents leaving sites. That's what we see the National Guard not showing up. It's really the power of the people coming out to demonstrate, to show with their bodies, with their expression, with their arguments, that this is unconstitutional. We continue to ask people not to escalate and to also demand more of elected officials so that legally, constitutionally, we protect our rights, but we also mobilize. We got to do both.
Do you intend to be out here for long today?
I'll be here I'll be keeping an eye after there was an arrest. We will demand that this person is released immediately, cannot just snatch people without judicial orders. That is unconstitutional, is illegal. It is shameful that has happened, so we'll be here until this person is released.
Thank you so much. 25th Ward Alderman Byron Sigcho-Lopez does point out that there was that event that happened this morning where a protester who was roughed up out here on the street then got dragged into the facility and the gates shut. They are concerned about that person's well-being. I'm Joni Lum. Now back to you.
Joni, a quick question for the alderman. I don't know if he's in the middle of another interview right now, but my question to him is, they keep calling the situation inside of that detainment center inhumane. Can he detail some specific instances of how that is true? And also, does he know where these detainees are being taken if they're removed from the facility?
He is engaged in another interview right now. I can go over and kind of listen to what's happening, although I don't want to interrupt what they're doing.
Yeah, we can check back in. We can check back in when Mr. Lopez is available. But we want to give...
I'm going to seek another elected official for that, too.
Okay, thanks, Joni.
Yeah, thank you, Joni. And again, Sigcho-Lopez's message there. He wants big numbers out there, but he also says for them to remain peaceful as well. Joni, we did see a little bit of clashing earlier. You've been out at these protests a few times now. What's the most heated things have gotten?
I was here when some of that mobilization was happening, where those military officers, I don't know what to call them because it says police on their uniforms, it looks like military, they're carrying big firearms. When they formed a line and it looked like they were going to advance, that's when the confrontation gets heated. That's when people are bumping each other. They're pushing protesters are pushing back, and you don't know what's going to happen. Now, every hour, or even more often than that, there is the announcement that comes out of the building. It's a recorded announcement that you are being ordered to disperse, and if you don't, there will be some action taken, and you may be injured by that. That's a warning to protesters and all of us who are out here on the public street that something's going to happen. And the first day, people remained where they are. I did back up, and later that day, those military police came out and shot some pellets that did injure some people. It stings when you get hit by that. Our crew got hit by that, and some of my colleagues did, and there was pepper spray too. So people were being attended to. There's first aid people here in case anything starts up, in case anyone trips or gets hurt. And there seemed to be an older woman who couldn't get around very well, and she was injured by that. So it happens, and it doesn't seem like it's happening when protesters are advancing. It seems like when there needs to be some movement out here, a car needs to leave or come back in, a garage door comes up, that's when things get a little more active than they are right now.
Yeah, and you mentioned what's not in that facility in terms of a long-term stay. Can you kind of go over that again?
That's what I'm told. The attorneys who represent the undocumented immigrants who are brought to this facility for processing, when they are able to catch up to wherever it is they land, they are told this facility is supposed to be a processing facility, so there are no beds, no blankets, no showers. However, people have been left here for 2 or 3 days. So that's why they say it's inhumane, because it's not fit for someone to stay. We have Byron Sigcho-Lopez back with us again. The question was there was a question about Homeland Security rounding up the worst of the worst. That's what they say that they're after. But you're finding that that's not the only people who are getting picked up.
Absolutely. I mean, if we look at from what we see in the state, across the state, we see people who being detained that are selling flowers in the streets, roofers who are just at work, people literally being snatched from workplaces. These are not criminals. In fact, even in Naperville, when the federal government conducted a huge raid, some of the neighbors said that some of their neighbors have always been friendly, have been good neighbors, being people who are just working in the area. So what we see is that they're not targeting the violent criminals, as they're saying. They're snatching neighbors. Yesterday in our community, we saw just people walking that were just detained and asked for identification. People who are just driving around. Racial profiling, unfortunately, has become normalized in our country, something that should be illegal under international law, but now we're seeing deployed in our city. That's what we're seeing. These are not criminals, and I think the evidence showed 9 out of 10 people have no criminal record.
Thank you. Alderman Byron Sigcho-Lopez of the 25th Ward of Chicago, here now in Broadview. I'll send it back to you.
Joni, thank you again for pulling him aside for us.